Hello everyone, I hope this video finds you in good health and you're taking good care of your parents and elders at home. Today's article is titled Say No to Banks. It has been taken from the Business Standard dated 1st of May 2020. Say no to banks, suspending IBC for an extended period would destroy it. IBC is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. We will learn a little about it, but let's first read a few lines that have been started in this article. Indian banks are reportedly planning to suggest to the government that all the pending cases under the IBC should be suspended for at least 2 years in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. ठीक है, अब बहुत सारे इंडियन बैंक्स हैं जिन्होंने एज पर रिपोर्ट्स दे हैव प्लान टू सजेस्ट टू द गवर्नमेंट को ये सजेशन देना चाहते हैं कि ऑल द पेंडिंग केसेस अंडर IBC should be suspended for at least 2 years. This comes just days after the union government decided to suspend the IBC provisions for 6 months. Union government ने already 6 महीने के लिए इसको suspend कर दिया है. But the banks are asking for a 2-year suspension of these cases or till the time the government may deem fit. जब तक गवर्नमेंट को सही नहीं लगता और at least 6 months तब तक तो गवर्नमेंट ने already इसको suspend कर दिया है. But banks are asking for a 2-year, at least 2-year suspension. So before going any further, let's get our concepts cleared about IBC. If you look up for IBC on the internet or for the official information on IBC, you will find it on the Gazette of India. इस कोड में का जो इंट्रोडक्शन है उसमें लिखा हुआ है an act to consolidate and amend the laws relating to reorganization and insolvency resolution of corporate persons, partnership firms and individuals in a time-bound manner for maximization of value of assets of such persons, to promote entrepreneurship, availability of credit and balance in the interests of all stakeholders, including alteration in the order of priority of payment of government dues, and to establish an Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India (IBBI) and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. This is legal language, ठीक है? When you read this entire document, some 140 pages, when you read this entire document, this is how you will be able to summarize it. So the entire structure of IBC can be explained via this flowchart. IBC को 2 भागों में डिवाइड किया गया है, रेगुलेटर्स एंड एडजुडिकेटर्स. एक बॉडी जो उसको रेगुलेट करती है, दूसरी बॉडी या दूसरा भाग जो उसमें फैसले सुनाता है, एडजुडिकेट करता है. तो रेगुलेटर्स आर कंपोज्ड ऑफ 3 कंपोनेंट्स, जिसमें कि IRA, IP और IU होते हैं. IRA इज इंसॉल्वेंसी रेजोल्यूशन एजेंसीज. दे मेक कोड्स एंड एथिक्स फॉर डेट रिकास्ट प्लान्स. डेट रिकास्ट प्लान्स आर दोज प्लान्स जिसमें आप डेट रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग करते हैं और किस तरह से उस डेट को चुकाया जाए, इसके प्लान्स बनाते हैं. IP इज फॉर इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल्स. दे रन द कंपनी एज इंटरिम बोर्ड. अगर आपने IL&FS का क्राइसिस का न्यूज़ फॉलो किया होगा तो फॉर द रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ IL&FS डेट, आनंद महिंद्रा वाज one of the IPs. He was appointed as the IP in that case. IU stands for Information Utilities. Now financial advice, they act as financial advisors. They provide information for making DRPs or debt recast plans. ठीक है? So this is all most of what you needed to know about the regulators. Regulator की जो बॉडी है that is IBBI और Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. एडजुडिकेटर्स में 2 बॉडीज़ हैं, NCLT एंड DRT. ये दोनों ट्रिब्यूनल्स हैं. ट्रिब्यूनल्स आर कोर्ट्स दैट आर मेड फॉर स्पेशल पर्पसेस. तो डेट रेजोल्यूशन के लिए जितने भी कोर्ट्स हैं उनको NCLT और DRT में बांटा गया है. NCLT इज़ नेशनल कंपनी लॉ ट्रिब्यूनल. ये IBC के बाद बना एंड दिस इज स्पेसिफिकली फॉर ऑल कॉरपोरेट्स. DRT आर डेट रिकवरी ट्रिब्यूनल्स जो कि 1990s से एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं. दीज आर फॉर ऑल नॉन कॉरपोरेट सच एज इंडिविजुअल्स एंड पार्टनरशिप्स. सो दिस इज द स्ट्रक्चर एंड द रिलेटेड फंक्शंस ऑफ द IBC एंड इट्स कंपोनेंट्स. आगे बढ़े तो देर आर सम की टर्म्स दैट यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड before delving more into IBC. First thing is insolvency. When you are not able or incapable of paying debt in a due date, Suppose there was a debt that you had to pay yesterday on the 30th of April, and you, for some reason, you were not able to pay it yesterday, but maybe in 5 days or 10 days or in the next week you are able to pay it. Then in that case, till you pay, you are an insolvent. Okay? But when you are not able to pay the debt even after 10 days or even after next year and any time in the future, then that is called bankruptcy. So unable to pay debt at all anytime in future is bankruptcy. Another term that is frequently mentioned is liquidation, which means selling the assets of a company. Alright, so these are the three key terms that needed to be understood before going further. There are certain benefits of IBC for which they have been implemented and brought into action. First benefit is that it improves the ease of doing business. India's rank in World Bank's EODB index has improved significantly. It is good for banks as it aids in NPA resolution. It is good for ARCs or asset reconstruction companies. Now, asset reconstruction companies, they buy bad loans from banks at a haircut and recover them. The process, if you understand, or the haircut, if you understand, is something called something that is a profit for ARCs. Suppose there is a 1,000 crore loan which has gone bad by a bank, in a bank. Now, ARCs will approach and buy that 1,000 crore loan at 600 crore rupees. So that 400 crore rupees was a haircut that was given by the bank to the ARCs, and that is their profit. Later on, the banks will recover the rest amount of 600 crores from the defaulter, or as much as possible. All that will be the benefits or the profits of ARCs. So it is good for ARCs also. Locked up assets like buildings or associated labor gets freed. It improves investment and it improves corporate bond market. Now let's move to the features of IBC. There are three key features of IBC. The first one is it is a time bound process. There is a time limit fixed to resolve debt issues, 180 days and 90 additional days for very complex debt issues. So a total of 270 days at maximum is provided. However, it has been seen that only 30 to 40% cases have taken more than 270 days. So 270 days is currently not enough to resolve any such debts in India as seen till date. Comprehensive law covers all types of firms. It is single law, serves all. So every type of firm, be it an individual, be it a proprietorship, be it a partnership, be it a corporate, every type of firm is included in this law, in this code. And there is a top governing body at IBBI that overlooks every aspect of the process. So there is no dilution of powers, there is no confusion between the functions, and everything runs very smoothly and single-handedly. These are the features of IBC that needed to be known. Now we have talked a lot about the process. So let's get to know what the resolution process is. It is basically a 4-step process where suppose there is a default has happened, either willingly or non-willingly, or like anybody took a loan and they could not pay. Now there are two ways how a loan cannot be paid. They cannot be paid willfully, like कोई डेटर, कोई भी लोनी ज़बरदस्ती वो जानबूझकर पे ना करे, या फिर he is not able to pay it. ठीक है, either case the loan has not been paid and it has been a default. So the creditor or the bank or the lender or the borrowers who took the loan, either of them or both of them can approach an NCLT or DRT, as the case may be, for a resolution application. ठीक है. Now the NCLT or DRT, depending on whether it is a corporate or non-corporate entity, has to accept the plea within 14 days. This is the first step. So the 14 days serves as a rethinking period where they can reconsider whether they want to go ahead with this resolution process or not. Next, the lenders form a committee of creditors, COC, which includes IPs or insolvency professionals, as Anand Mahindra in the ILNFS case. Okay? That COC in ILNFS case was headed by Anand Mahindra. Now COC forms a debt recast plan or a debt restructuring plan in 180 and a maximum of additional 90, that is 270 days. And after that plan has been made, voting takes place. If the voting happens and everybody agrees to the debt recast plan, that DRP is adopted and the company is not liquidated. But if they disagree with that DRP or that debt recast plan, then liquidation of the company is done, assets are sold, and whatever is earned is distributed among all the lenders and stakeholders. This is the entire process of IBC. So I hope you got some understanding into what IBC is, and this will help you understand this article and the current scenario even more better. Moving ahead with the article, the banks feel that given the pandemic's effect on business sentiment, it will not recover for some time, affecting the prices they will get for the distressed assets. Now, whenever a loan becomes bad and it undergoes the resolution process and it ends up being liquidated, in that case, the price that you get after liquidating a company is what you earned from that bad loan. So what the banks feel is that due to the pandemic's effect, due to the lockdown and the withdrawal of economic activity, there is no business sentiment currently and people are not ready to pay enough. So the prices that they will get after liquidation will not be up to the mark. Already it appears expression of interest from possible bidders have been disappointing for banks. एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ इंटरेस्ट मतलब ऐसा डॉक्यूमेंट जिसमें आप बताते हैं कि आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन बाइंग दिस पार्टी, दिस प्रॉपर्टी और दिस कंपनी और वट एवर इज बीन पुट अप फॉर बिडिंग, एंड it appears that the expression of interest from possible bidders have been disappointing for banks. It is unsurprisingly a buyer's market at the moment for distressed assets. Buyer's market कहने का मतलब है कि वहाँ पे सिर्फ buyers की चलेगी. Whatever price the buyers quote, the seller will have to sell on that. That is a buyer's market. ठीक है? So it is unsurprisingly a buyer's market at the moment for distressed assets, which leaves the banks in an uncomfortable position. The sellers are banks. They are selling that property or company under resolution, and the buyers or the bidders are quoting a very low price. So that is why the sellers or banks are in an uncomfortable position. Naturally, bidders will want to conserve cash at the moment, given the uncertainties of the situation. Nor is liquidation a pleasing prospect if there are no appropriate bidders, given the valuations all around. The bidders are not giving enough value, they are quoting less prices, so even liquidation is not going to benefit much. Some existing bidders have reportedly asked for legal opinion as to whether they can revise the bids that they have submitted. Now, there might be some applications or such expressions of interests which were submitted before this lockdown happened, or before this all this business sentiment went down. They are also trying to reconsider and get a second legal opinion whether they can revise their bids and quote a lower price for the asset. So these are the things that are happening currently, which is why the bankers have asked the government to extend the suspension of IBC for next 2 years at least. The bank's concerns are valid, but a 2-year suspension would do more harm than good. While a 6-month suspension is understandable, given the exceptional circumstances, a 2-year delay would do little more than collapse a system that is still being built up with considerable care and difficulty. The editor का कहना है कि ठीक है, the concerns of the banks are valid, but a 2-year suspension will be too long a suspension and that will do more harm than it will do good. ठीक है, 6 months तक समझ में आता है और till the government deems fit तब तक समझ में आता है, but given the exceptional circumstances, a 2-year delay will almost collapse this entire IBC structure, and it has been built with very much care and difficulty. So all that effort that has gone into building up this IBC process will go in vain. The government must therefore resist the demands of the banks. There are other ways to protect them, like ending the IBC mechanism, which is structured to ensure the flexibility of capital, is not one of them. ठीक है, और भी तरीके हैं, but to end the IBC mechanism, which is structured to ensure the flexibility of capital, this should not be one solution. IBC in the end benefits banks even if it means that they have to respond to market conditions in a pandemic. IBC is ultimately made for the benefit of the banks, the benefit of the ARCs. We studied all these things in the functions. So this is the integral function of IBC to serve as a as a beneficial aspect for banks. ठीक है, तो abolishing IBC or suspending IBC altogether won't be of any help. Almost 2,000 cases are still going through the IBC process. Many of them have long passed the deadlines that the code had set for resolution. That 270 days maximum deadline that was given. So almost 2,000 cases, and many of the 2,000 cases have already crossed that deadline of resolution. There are other mechanisms that could be considered to ensure that some of the companies that are being taken to the IBC or could be once the moratorium ends are preserved as going concerns to benefit the benefit of the banks. ठीक है, और भी कई mechanisms हैं और भी कई तरीके हैं जिससे कि इन कंपनीज को जिनको ऑलरेडी IBC में ले जाया जा चुका है या फिर कुछ ऐसे कंपनीज जो कि ये मोराटोरियम ख़त्म होने के बाद जाने वाले हैं, दे कैन बी all those companies that are already that are considered going concerns right now, that are functioning and are giving profits, they are expected to give or pay back the debts to the bank. So there are other mechanisms to handle such cases. Going concerns basically means all those businesses that are functioning, running and giving profits. Moratorium is a holiday from submitting or depositing your EMIs or loan or debts. So one of those mechanisms is mentioned in the next line. For example, a consent-based moratorium on debt enforcement is one possibility. If there is consent-based moratorium, so there is an agreement between the borrower and the lender that how long a moratorium should be and on what conditions they can repay their debts. So this is one possibility. It has worked elsewhere in the world as a counter-cyclical measure. Of course, a shorter duration of suspension for the IBC is also a possibility. ठीक है, it lasts only as long as other COVID-19 measures such as successive lockdowns. So another measure that can be taken, another mechanism that can be helpful is a shorter duration of the IBC suspension. ठीक है, let it be suspended only till other COVID-19 measures are being carried out. Like once the lockdowns finish, let the suspension of IBCs also finish. And let everything get back to normal. That is another mechanism how you can manage this scenario. The IBC cannot be suspended for an extended period just because market conditions have become adverse. है ना, सिर्फ market conditions खराब हो गए हैं इसके लिए आप IBC को इस तरह से extended period के लिए suspend नहीं कर सकते. That is precisely when such a mechanism is needed to ensure that capital is not locked up but instead circulates and stays productive. This is a time when you need capital to be freed up. We read in the benefits of IBC that it frees up locked up capital. So this is exactly the time, this is precisely the time when such a mechanism is needed to ensure that capital is not locked up but instead circulates and stays productive. There will be many such demands that turn up on the government's desks in the coming weeks. Demands from interests that would like to ensure that anti-recession and counter-pandemic measures bail them out of all their past mistakes. ठीक है, लिखा हुआ है कि ऐसे बहुत सारे डिमांड्स गवर्नमेंट के पास आएंगे which will want the government to bail them out or to pull them out of a difficult situation which was due to their own past mistakes. तो anti-recession और counter-pandemic measures के आड़ में it should not be that people start correcting their or use the government's helping hand as a measure to correct their past mistakes. The government must do only as much as is required to prevent the pandemic from shutting down the economy and resist attempts to do any further, such as have come in from the banks. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट को उतना ही करना चाहिए ताकि ये बंद ना पड़ जाए, इकोनॉमी पूरी ठप ना हो जाए. There should be some activity left and there should be some life left in the economic cycle. The government should do that much and it should resist attempts to do any further. उससे आगे बढ़कर ना करें जैसा कि बैंक्स ने पूछा है. So this is what today's article was about. This talks about the importance of IBC, of mechanisms or institutions such as IBC at a time of crisis where it is difficult to resolve bad loans, and how staying intact, staying there and maintaining your posture will help you get out of this crisis. So it is not a time to get rid of institutions like IBC. As we read yesterday also, that RBI's MPC was getting discarded and RBI was directly taking decisions. So the editor today also comes to this conclusion, or brings to us this picture where the need of institutions is being highlighted, and what important role they play, especially in the times of crisis. So this is what today's article is about. I'll put a few questions in the description box so that you can answer and get a clear understanding of what lies underneath. So thank you so much. Have a good day. This is me signing off for today.